Hi, it's Susan, and I am back with a short tutorial, or maybe an experimental tutorial to see if we can transfer pictures to fabric. So those of you with an inkjet printer probably already have a whole bunch of different ways you can print directly to fabric. Since I only have a color laser printer, it's harder for me to do that. I can't run the fabric through my printer, and they don't make, unfortunately, silk sheets like Jacquard does for the inkjet printers that I could just put through there. So I'm not quite brave enough yet to take a chance on messing up my expensive printer. So this is supposed to work. I haven't done it before on fabric, and I want to give it a try. It is laser printed. This will not work with inkjet. Laser printed images. Text has to be reversed. And CitroSolve. Concentrated cleaner and degreaser. It's all natural. However, it does have a pretty strong smell. So if you are sensitive to smells, you might want to wear a mask. Make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area. That's just safety first. Save your lungs, right? You are also going to need a brush or sponge, a spoon for burnishing. Paper towel is just smart if you're Susan, because we tend to spill things. Some tape to tape it down. I'm going to pour a little bit of CitroSolve in my bowl to make it easier. And I'm choosing to wear gloves. Like I said, this is all natural, but my hands are super sensitive, so I'm going to wear gloves anyways. I am working on a plate of glass. It's actually a glass cutting board. And I'm going to secure, because the main thing you want to make sure of is that your pictures don't slip. So I'm going to tuck my fabric. This is just some muslin. Something that would be easy to stitch onto another project. Just going to kind of help keep things secure a little bit. All right, it's got some wrinkles in it. I ironed it somewhat, but I think that's going to make it a little bit more natural looking. So these are a couple of my photographs of a hummingbird and a robin. And then this is a public domain image of a tree, and then some words. So let's tape these guys down. And I tore the edges so that I would have kind of an uneven look to the image. I'm not sure how much the CitroSolve will dissolve, or disappear, I should say. It's all going to dissolve, but, that it's going to, disappear once it's dry. What I also liked about this is when I'm doing image transfers with matte medium or gesso, they're great for putting on book pages where it doesn't really matter to me that the texture is kind of plasticky. But on fabric, I really just didn't want that same kind of a feel. I basically didn't want to get too much into that one. It's okay. It's all good because it's just an experimental tutorial, right? No stress. And again, if you're doing words, they've got to be reversed. If you know of any cool ways to get image transfers on fabric without the plastic feel, I would love to hear it. And you really don't need that much at all. Always add more. Like I said, I'm sensitive, so I'm going to put my gloves on just in case I do a Susan thing and dump the CitroSolve all over my fingers. I'm not really worried about that, and like I said, it's all natural. I have done this with other products that make me very nervous, but this is just because I'm a klutz. What can I say? All right, so you don't want it sopping wet from what I've seen. So you can see my words. And then you burnish with a spoon. Just see what's going to happen. So I probably should have taped this at the top and the bottom as well, because I can see that things are moving. So the more things move, it's never going to go back down. So it's going to be more like a shadow image now. I can already see that happening. But you can see that that transfer did work. So tip number 1, let's tape it all the way down. So let's do that over here. Let's tape this guy down a lot better. anything that's going to slip slide. Probably could have taped my, cut my fabric into a smaller bit and then taped it right to the glass, which I think I'll do after I do this one. So we'll do this one and see what happens. You can see your image come through. Now what that's going to look like. Let's see. I think this would be really hard if you were doing a really large image, because you would have to figure out a way to make sure things did not move around. Unless you like that kind of a shadowy effect. But what I like about this idea is that I don't have to get it wet, besides the non-plasticky feeling. I don't have to get it wet and hurt my fingers while I'm trying to rub off all the paper, and then you always get that cloudy thing that never kind of comes through all the way. And I'm doing this in real time, so I did increase the saturation on this one image. It was really a light sketch, because you're not going to get a super dark image, I don't think, with this, which is fine for me. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, yeah, just the hint. Just the hint of that. All right, so now, let's see, if we move these guys out of the way. And I don't know, I wonder if there's enough on there. There's still ink on there. I wonder if you can get a second one, since it doesn't matter on the words as much. I'm just going to do part of this just to see if we get a little bit of anything, because I don't know. You can. Okay, so depending on how saturated it is, you can get a little bit more out of there. Okay, if you stick around to the end, I will show you what it's like when everything's dry so we can check. Oh, one of the other great things about doing it this way is it doesn't change the hand of the fabric. So if you want to do any stitching on it, like run it through your sewing machine or hand stitching, much easier, much easier than trying to stitch through matte medium that you have, used to transfer the image. Things stay soft. I do not know about washability. I don't know if you can do that. I guess we can test that, huh? I will dry these and heat set them with the iron to see if that makes a difference, and then show them to you, and then we can dip them in water and see what happens. Let's try making sure this really isn't going to move. All right, this is kind of exciting. I'm kind of happy. Let's see. All right, this is my hummingbird. I wasn't sure how much of the green background, so I thought, well, I won't remove the background on this one. We're just going to, it looks like it's an awful lot. I'm going to dab some of that off. Okay, and the paper really wants, so key to this is definitely not moving it. I'm going to do the hummingbird first. That way if things get blurry in the green, it really doesn't matter. I see potential. Now, the type of fabric you try to transfer this to is going to have an impact. You're just going to have to do your own experiments. I think it would be really cool to do it on some canvas. The color of your fabric might have a difference, but mostly it's the way the fabric feels that's going to have the biggest impact. If it's bumpy or smooth. Let's see, is the green coming through? Let's get a peek. Oh, people! Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. There is going to be so much potential and things you can do with this. Oh, I'm going to print a whole bunch of my trees now. All right, and I don't care that the green is uneven because that's kind of what I want. So I don't need to take it off of there. I just need to undo the... Oh, look at that. This is just amazing. I love this. I love the little lines through it. I love everything about it. That's going to be absolutely perfect. I might just put that on the wall hanging that I'm working on now. Wow. Now, this is a robin. What I wanted to test on this, because there's so much detail, now that I've seen the way these have come out, I don't think it's going to make any difference at all. I think it's going to be awesome. And I probably wouldn't worry about tearing it the next time. I would just not burnish all the way to the edges. I would kind of burnish in an irregular fashion around it, and that way I would get the irregular color if I wanted that. Wow. Mind is blown. You know, sometimes you try these sorts of things. I tried it with wintergreen oil, and it worked, but the smell was so strong that I had a headache for like 2 days, even though I was outside doing it. So essential oils are also supposed to work, and this is what this has got in it. It's got essential oils in it. And actually, you know, just because, you know, the CitroSolve is going to move under there, so I bet you, even doing this, I can still get color all the way to the edges. It's a good way to check it out, right? So maybe it's not as fast as running it through your machine, but like I said, since all I have is a laser machine, this is going to have to do. Okay, good. I can use up the last of my CitroSolve. It is going to migrate underneath there. You can see. Make sure it's getting under the tail there, since I kind of went far with my tape. I might cut off part of this tail. I don't know. And I suppose you could burnish longer if you really wanted to try and be very precise. Yeah, taping this down all the way around makes a huge difference. I don't feel, you know, it's kind of coming up a little bit because there's some air underneath it, but let's take a look at Mr. Robin. Of course, when you tape it all the way down like that, it's harder to check, but it's the hint of a bird. It's exactly what I would want. This makes me want to grab some very smooth fabric and see what kind of a difference that might make on it. Okay, let's do this so we can see everything. Yeah, I would not want it distinct. You know, if I want it absolutely distinct where you can recognize every little thing in the picture, you know, I would just glue a picture in there. And actually, after the CitroSolve has dried on this, this has kind of distressed the image, which makes it a little bit more interesting. It's taken some of the color off. So again, these are pictures that are printed with a color laser printer. This will not work with an inkjet. The words work just fine. The only reason there's the shadow on there is because I moved the paper. So that tells me we got to make really sure that you keep the fabric and the paper from moving. And here is the tree that I really like. And I could have burnished that one more, but I'm okay with it just being this kind of a hesitant area because I can do something else with it. And again, showing that there was still some ink on there, so you could even just look at this as this is another form of mark, and then you do something else. You could do another probably transfer on top of that. Here is the robin. It did pick up all the branching, and it's just the illusion of the bird. Well, I mean, you can tell it's a bird, but it's not like a perfect picture of a bird, and I'm okay with that. I actually am really excited about the branches and thinking of things I can do with that. And these pictures are in color, so please note, you know, you're transferring color. And then the hummingbird, which is my favorite. I have so many hummingbird photographs. I am super excited to be able to do this transfer. onto fabric with some of my photos. So I'm going to let these dry, and then I will come back in and show you, and then we'll dip one in water and see what happens. Okay, I am back. I have dried these and ironed them about 20 seconds on a hot iron for the cotton, and the feeling of it is just 100% like fabric. I mean, you can't tell the difference between where the CitroSolve was and it wasn't. In fact, it might actually be maybe a little bit softer where the CitroSolve was. So these are kind of possibly a little faded for some people, but for me, they're absolutely perfect. A reminder that the reason we have the double shadow on the words are because the paper moves, so you want to make sure that you keep your paper taped down and your fabric taped down. But let's see what's going to happen if we put these in water. You know, maybe you want to do it on fabric that you could, I've heard people do it, you know, so that they could put it like on napkins or placemats or something, and maybe you want to glue it with matte medium. So I have no idea if things are going to run, but here's the tree. I don't anticipate any colors going to run because these were done on a laser printer. So there's no color in the water whatsoever. And that, let's see, yeah, that's the right side. So for me, this is 100% success. I am not likely to wash these, but it's nice to know nothing happens if they get wet with matte medium if you decide you want to glue something down. But I didn't expect it to, because again, these are done with a laser printer. I'm beyond thrilled with the potential for this because it's color fast, it stays soft, I don't see any lines from the CitroSolve around it. This is just whatever you print is what's going to transfer depending on how far you send the CitroSolve. I tore the edges on this and I really like this look, so I can see me doing more of that. I'm definitely going to do some more things with words. So for me, this tutorial experiment was a huge success. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you do this yourself, please tag me so I can see what you did, and tell your friends. If you're not already a member of the Facebook group, I hope you will come join us over there where we share, support, and connect with one another so we can enjoy our artistic journeys even more. Bye-bye for now.